Nevada has the dubious distinction of having the highest foreclosure rate in the country. 1 out of every 7 homes sits vacant.
Even with these grim statistics, some good news has emerged recently. In Washoe County, sales actually has increased in February.
Will the good news continue? And if you're trying to sell your home, what can you do to be more successful?
Join us next on Lawyers, Guns, and Money.
Now, Lawyers, Guns, and Money with criminal defense attorneys David Houston and Scott Freeman.
Good day and welcome to Lawyers, Guns, and Money. I'm David Houston.
I'm Scott Freeman. The state of the housing market in northern Nevada, good news or bad? Joining us today are realtors Adele Senf and Sandy Solomonson, both from Chase International. Ladies, welcome to Lawyers, Guns, and Money. You know, and one of the things I think that's important for our viewers is, you know, are houses selling, are houses moving? Sandy, what's going on in the market that you see?
Scott, houses are moving. Of course, it's not a seller's market right now. It is a buyer's market. We continue to see an uptick in units sold, both in Reno and in Lake Tahoe, especially at Lake Tahoe, where people are now able to afford that second home that 5 years ago they possibly couldn't. New investors are coming in. We're also seeing more people purchase homes on the luxury market. There's currently 5 in escrow right now at Incline Village. With the amount of snow on the ground, I would say that's some tenacious buyers out there. So there are people, there's some pent-up cash. We're seeing an uptick in people paying cash also, just to be able to get into that second home or investment home that they've always wanted.
Now, Adele, we use the phrases a lot, buyer's market, seller's market. When we say it's not necessarily a seller's market, what do we mean?
Well, with prices being so low right now, and most people have negative equity in their home, they might not be willing to move up to another house and have that money. So they're staying in their homes and just waiting to see what happens. Or,
I mean, is it easier now than it was maybe a few years ago to qualify to get bank financing, things like that, or is it still pretty difficult?
It's pretty difficult right now. It really is. I mean, typically 20% down. I mean, there still is FHA financing available, but it is it's difficult to obtain because a lot of the properties are distressed properties, and they have to meet certain criteria for the FHA housing to qualify for that property.
You know, when you talk about the market, you talk about how, you know, buyer's market, seller's market. You know, as Sandy said, Adele, you know, people's monies are getting a little bit looser right now. People had hid their cash in the mattresses, and now they're coming out with it to maybe put that 20% down on the loan. You know, when you kind of see how the economy gets a little bit better and the sales get a little better. And like last year this time, we had a couple of realtors on our show for our realtor show, and they said nothing's moving. Nobody's buying, you know, nobody wants to see. Are you seeing a break in the ice here locally in the northern Nevada market?
I think definitely. We're seeing people, and all cash buyers. I mean, to me,
what does that mean?
That's a sign that the investors are out. And if investors are out, that could possibly mean that we're at the bottom of our market. Possibly, I don't know. Year over year, we're down about 6% in price from last year to this year, which really is not that much of a decrease. 2 years, we're talking 21% down. So maybe we're at the bottom. I don't really know.
Sandy, you work a lot with luxury homes as far as sales of luxury homes. You and Adele both are in that field. Are we seeing more than anticipated as far as sales of luxury homes, or what seems to be running at the top of the market sales-wise, the median price home or the luxury home?
As far as units sold, it's the lower end still. And as far as the lake, we currently have 5 homes over $1 million in escrow, which is about equal of what it was this time in first quarter of 2010. So it's right about equal. There's a certain immunity with the luxury market. They don't have to necessarily require financing. And you know, a downward cycle in a real estate market is not going to affect them as harshly. So we are still seeing some good sales in the luxury market at Lake Tahoe and seeing more, I believe, in the Reno area. We're seeing more people from out of state invest and looking to just protect their nest eggs of Nevada tax advantages, and looking to baby boomers coming, selling their other home or just picking up that second luxury home and taking advantage of it.
How do you market, Sandy, a luxury home in the Tahoe, Reno area, where the first wave of potential investors would be here locally? And if a home isn't getting any bites here locally, how do you find those potential investors out of town if you're a local real estate agent?
Well, as a realtor, of course, our friend is the internet.
Right.
Really good syndication marketing is always very beneficial. Strong percentage of my buyers from out of state come directly from the internet or come from other realtors that I work closely with who have folks who are frustrated and looking to relocate. We're seeing more of a shift interstate going on with that. So a lot of it is the internet. People don't look at print to find a house out of state anymore as an investor. They're online. They have very close to the same amount of information we as realtors can get. Ours is a lot more accurate. I can't tell you how many times people call and say, I'd like to look at this house, and it was sold 9 months ago.
Right.
But so the internet is basically it.
Has the luxury market taken as much of a hit percentage-wise as far as depreciation in value?
No.
Okay.
No. Just because, again, the entry-level market, and I think it mainly here with Reno, someone loses their job or someone didn't qualify to begin with to buy the house that they were allowed to buy because of loose lending regulations. One little bump in their life and they're underwater. You know, they lose their job and illness, and then you also take a declining market, and it's an instant double whammy. Right. So the entry-level market, both here and the lake, have been much harder hit than the luxury market.
Adele, what's some of the good news about the market, so to speak? When we talk about a shift from not a whole lot of action last year to some movement, I know that...
I think the good news is that first-time home buyers can buy a home. And a lot of people that have been traditionally renters their whole lives now have the opportunity to buy a home.
Because the price is so low.
Because the price is so low. The median price in the Reno-Sparks area is about $163,000, and in the peak it was about $367,000 in 2005, 2006. So right now, I mean, for the first-time home buyer, it's a great opportunity for them not to be renting anymore.
Sandy, are we in that situation? Again, I'm going back to the person who's the investor, or even the person who's buying their home because they want to move up or move up in space or something. But you remember what happened when folks were out there when it was, of course, going like this and everybody's buying the house because it's going to be a great investment, it's going to continue to appreciate. What do you say to that buyer that comes to you and says, look, I don't know if it's the right time. I don't want to get caught in that dilemma where I'm paying a certain amount for the house, but because the market is not stable, it may be worth, 30% less next year this time. What's the response to that buyer who doesn't really want to invest now because nobody is certain and we've all been burned to some extent?
You mean a buyer who's sitting on the fence?
Exactly.
Which is what your expertise is. On the fence, here, buy.
How you get
Do
them
I
off
wait or
the
do I
fence?
go?
Yeah.
I guess one way to answer that would be with my personal experience. I, as a realtor, bought my own home last December, and I waited and waited. The market's going to bump along the bottom for a while. We all know that. The thing is, interest rates are going up. And the difference of what it's going to cost a buyer over the long term of their loan by waiting and paying a higher interest rate than potentially losing a few thousand here and there as it bumps along the bottom is a substantial difference. And so I tell buyers, because this is what I told myself, if you like the home and you're in it for the long haul and it's a place you want to settle and raise your family, be there in the neighborhood, pull the trigger, do it. Because the longer you wait, the more it's going to cost you with interest rates. If it's someone who's a cash buyer, they may have a little time yet.
Right.
They can be a little bit pickier.
Sure.
But interest rates are king, and that's the difference right now. Plus, a lot of places, there's been such an increase in activity with home purchases that a lot of the good ones are gone. And so it's an inventory issue also.
You know, that's a really great point. We got about a minute with this segment, but Adele, when you see a house that you like, and following what Sandy's saying about pulling the trigger, you know, it seems to me that even in a difficult real estate market, you need to pull that trigger quickly because there's going to be somebody behind you that says, hey, that's a great deal.
That's
it
right.
just got on the market. You need to make the decision.
Right.
Is that what you're advising people?
Yeah, if it's you walk in the door and you like it, and it's in great condition, and you don't have a ton of work to do, and yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Are you finding that in terms of some of the
I think
buyers
so,
that you're seeing?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, we've got to go to a break. We're going to be back with Adele and Sandy. We're talking about the real estate market in Northern Nevada. Stay with us, right back.
Hello, I'm David